Hana arrived at work 30 minutes early, determined to make a better impression. She'd carefully chosen a soft lavender blouse and cream skirt, styled her hair with extra care, and even practiced her greeting in the bathroom mirror at home. Professional, composed, definitely not thinking about her CEO's touch yesterday. Definitely not. The 15th floor was mostly empty, just a few early arrivals and the hum of computers powering up. Hana made coffee in the break room, the ritual calming her nerves. She was pouring her second cup when she felt it, that shift in the air, that change in temperature. She turned. Ayame stood in the doorway, still in her coat, hair slightly tousled from the wind. Their eyes met across the small space. For one heartbeat, neither moved. Then Ayame stepped inside, and the break room suddenly felt much smaller. "You're early," Ayame said. "So are you." "I'm always early." "Then I guess we have that in common." Ayame's lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. She moved to the coffee machine, standing near enough that Hana could smell her perfume again, that dark, intoxicating scent. They stood side by side, both pretending to be very focused on their coffee preparation. Hana added cream. Her hand trembled slightly. Ayame noticed. "Nervous?" "A little." "Because of yesterday?" "No, because of now." Ayame glanced at her, surprised by the honesty. "I don't bite, Hana." The way she said the name, low and soft, made Hana's stomach flutter. "Everyone says you do." "Do you believe everything everyone says?" "I believe what I see." "And what do you see?" Hana turned to face her fully, holding her coffee cup like a shield. She looked up at the tall, elegant CEO with her silver eyes and perfect composure. "Someone who's lonely," Hana said quietly. Ayame froze. For a moment her mask slipped. Genuine shock, maybe even hurt, flickering across her features. Then it was gone, replaced by cold professionalism. "That's presumptuous." "Is it wrong?" Ayame didn't answer. She picked up her coffee and walked out, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. Hana exhaled shakily. She'd crossed a line. She knew it. But she also knew she was right. At 10 o'clock, Rika dropped a folder on Hana's desk. "Sato-san wants you to review these expense reports and summarize them by department." Hana looked up startled. "Me? Why me?" "Who knows? Maybe she's testing you. Maybe she's punishing you for yesterday. Maybe," Rika leaned in conspiratorially, "maybe she just wants you close by." "That's ridiculous." "Is it? Her office is on the 16th floor. She's requested you bring the summaries directly to her when you're done." Hana's heart jumped. "Directly?" "Directly." Good luck. The next 3 hours were torture. Not because the work was hard, it wasn't, but because every number she reviewed, every summary she wrote was bringing her closer to going up to Ayame's office. Alone. She checked her work 3 times, formatted everything perfectly, tried to calm her racing heart. At 1:30 she could delay no longer. She took the elevator to the 16th floor. This level was quieter, more exclusive, executive territory. The carpet was thicker. The art on the walls was real. Everything whispered power and money. Ayame's assistant, a severe-looking woman named Yuki, barely glanced up. "She's expecting you. Go in." Hana knocked softly. "Enter." She pushed open the heavy door. Ayame's office was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Tokyo, minimalist furniture in black and white, abstract art that probably cost more than a car. Everything was perfectly arranged, perfectly clean. Ayame sat behind her desk, working on her laptop. She didn't look up immediately. "The reports?" Hana approached, placing the folder carefully on the desk. All summarized by department, with notes on unusual expenses and recommendations for... "I can read, Hana." The words should have been cutting, but the way Ayame said her name softened them. Ayame pulled the folder closer, flipping through pages. Her silver eyes scanned quickly, professionally. Hana stood awkwardly, unsure if she should stay or go. Sit. Hana sat in the chair across from the desk. Ayama continued reading. The silence stretched. Hana's hands twisted in her lap. Finally, Ayama looked up. "This is excellent work." Hana blinked. "Really? Your analysis is thorough. Your recommendations are sound." Ayama's gaze held hers. "You have good instincts." "Thank you." "Why did you major in business?" The question caught Hana off guard. I wanted to understand how things work, how to build something meaningful." "And do you think you'll find meaning here?" "I don't know yet." Ayama's lips curved, that almost smile again. "Honest answer." "You don't seem like someone who wants to be lied to." "I'm not." Ayama leaned back in her chair, studying Hana with unsettling intensity. "This morning, in the break room, what you said, I'm sorry, that was accurate." Hana fell silent. Ayama stood, walking to the window, her posture rigid. "I built this company from nothing. Every floor, every employee, every success, mine. I have sacrificed everything for it." "That's admirable." "Is it? Or is it just lonely?" The vulnerability in her voice made Hana's chest ache. She stood, moving closer, not too close, but closer. "It can be both, admirable and lonely. You're very young to understand that." "Maybe. Or maybe you don't have to be old to see when someone's hurting." Ayama turned fully, and suddenly, they were standing near the window together, the city sprawling below them like a map of possibilities. "Hana, you should go back to work." But she didn't move away. "Should I?" "Yes." "Will you?" "Eventually." They stood there, the afternoon light painting them both in gold. Close enough to touch, but not touching. Close enough to feel the heat between them. "Hana," Ayama said, her voice lower now, almost dangerous. "You should be careful."
Of what? Of me. Why? Because Ayame paused, jaw tightening. "I'm not kind. I'm not soft. I'm not what you think I am. I think you're someone who's scared of being vulnerable." Ayame's breath caught. "That's presumptuous." "Is it wrong?" Ayame didn't answer. Instead, she did something unexpected. She lifted one hand, slowly, deliberately, and tucked a strand of hair behind Hana's ear. Her fingers lingered for just a moment against Hana's cheek. Warm, gentle, terrifying. "Go back to work, Hana," she whispered. Hana couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could only stare up into those silver eyes that suddenly looked much less cold. Finally, she nodded and turned toward the door. At the threshold, she looked back. Ayame still stood by the window, her hand raised slightly, as if she could still feel the touch between them. Their eyes met one more time. Then Hana left, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. The rest of the week passed in a haze of stolen glances and careful distance. Ayame walked past Hana's cubicle more frequently than necessary. Hana found excuses to work late, knowing Ayame did the same. They shared the elevator 3 more times, each ride filled with charged silence and almost conversations. The office noticed. "She's getting special treatment. Did you see how Sato-san looked at her yesterday? She's definitely sleeping her way up." Hana tried to ignore the whispers, but they stung. On Friday afternoon, one of the senior associates, a woman named Keiko, who'd been with the company for 5 years, cornered Hana near the poppy room. "Word of advice, sweetheart. Whatever game you're playing with the CEO, it won't work. She eats girls like you for breakfast. I'm not playing any game. Sure you're not. That's why she personally requested you deliver reports to her office. That was work-related. Everything's work-related with Ayame Sato. But here's what you don't understand. She doesn't do relationships. She doesn't do feelings. Whatever attention you're getting, it'll disappear the moment you stop being interesting. Hana's hands clenched. You don't know anything about her. I've worked here for 5 years. I know exactly who she is. And I know girls like you think they can fix her or warm her up or whatever romantic nonsense you've convinced yourself of, but you can't. She's ice all the way through. Then why does everyone here still work for her? Because she pays well and we're professionals. Just don't say I didn't warn you when she breaks your heart. She walked away, leaving Hana trembling with anger and uncertainty. Was Keiko right? Was this all just temporary attention? That evening, Hana worked late again, partially because she had actual work to finish, partially because she needed to think. The office emptied. Darkness crept across the city, and still Hana sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen without really seeing it. You're here, late again. She looked up. Ayame stood beside her cubicle, coat already on, briefcase in hand, but she didn't look ready to leave. I had things to finish, she said quietly. Are you avoiding me? The question was so direct, so unexpected, that Hana could only stare. Because, Ayame continued, her voice carefully controlled, you've been different this week. Distant. I'm your intern. I'm supposed to be distant. That's not what I meant. Hana stood, suddenly angry, at Keiko, at the office gossip, at her own confusion. What do you want from me? Ayame blinked, clearly surprised by the outburst. Because everyone here has theories. They think I'm playing some kind of game. They think I'm manipulating you or sleeping with you or... Let them think what they want. Easy for you to say. You're the CEO. You're not just anything. Ayame stepped closer, and suddenly they were standing in Hana's tiny cubicle, surrounded by papers and the soft glow of her desk lamp. Those people, Ayame said quietly, don't matter. Their opinions don't matter. They matter to me. I have to work with them. And you'll continue to work with them because you're good at what you do, not because I favor you, because you're talented. Then why do you favor me? The question hung between them. Ayame's jaw tightened. Her hands flexed at her sides, as if she wanted to reach out but was physically restraining herself. Because, she said finally, I make you remember what it's like to feel something other than ambition. Hana's breath caught. Because, Ayame continued, her voice carefully controlled, you smile at me like I'm worth smiling at. You are worth smiling at. Am I? Ayame's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Or are you just too young to know better? Stop calling me young. You are young. I'm 22. I know my own mind. Do you? Ayame stepped even closer, dangerously close now. Do you know what you're doing? What am I doing? Making me feel things I shouldn't feel. The confession hung in the air between them, raw and vulnerable. Hana's eyes widened. Ayame. Don't. Ayame's voice was strained. Don't say my name like that. Like what? Like it matters. It does matter, Hana whispered. You matter. Ayame's control finally cracked. She reached out, her hand cupping Hana's cheek with aching gentleness. Her thumb traced the curve of Hana's cheekbone. This is inappropriate. I know. You work for me. I know. This could ruin both our careers. I know. Then why? Ayame's voice broke slightly. Why can't I stay away from you? Hana leaned into the touch, her eyes fluttering closed for a moment. When she opened them, they were filled with the same longing that burned in Ayame's chest. Maybe you're not supposed to. They stood frozen, Ayame's hand on Hana's face, the world reduced to just breath and heartbeat and the impossible pull between them. Then Ayame stepped back,
her hand falling away, leaving Hana's skin cold. "Go home, Hana," she said quietly, "before I do something we'll both regret." Hana wanted to argue, wanted to close the distance, wanted to ask why regret was the first word Ayame thought of instead of something hopeful. But she saw the fear beneath the ice in those silver eyes. So she nodded and gathered her things. At the elevator, she turned back one more time. Ayame stood in her cubicle, bathed in the glow of the desk lamp, watching her with an expression of such raw longing that it made Hana's chest ache. Neither spoke. The elevator doors closed between them. Ayame didn't go home. She returned to her office, poured herself 2 fingers of whiskey from the crystal decanter she kept for difficult nights, and stood at her window overlooking the city. Tokyo glittered below her, millions of lights, millions of lives, millions of possibilities she'd never allowed herself to explore because control was safer than vulnerability. She touched her fingertips to her lips, remembering how close she'd been to kissing Hana, how easy it would have been to close that distance, how desperately she'd wanted to. Her phone buzzed, a message from her assistant about tomorrow's schedule. Nothing from Hana. Why would there be? They weren't anything, couldn't be anything. Ayame finished her whiskey and poured another. Across the city, Hana lay in her small apartment, staring at her ceiling, replaying every moment, every look, every touch, every word, making me feel things I shouldn't feel. Her phone sat on her nightstand, screen dark. She picked it up 3 times, typed messages she never sent. "I can't stop thinking about you." Delete. "What are we doing?" Delete. "I don't want to stay away from you." Delete. Finally, she set the phone down and pressed her palms against her eyes. This was dangerous, complicated, potentially career-ending. But when she closed her eyes, all she could see were silver ones looking at her like she was something precious. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and the threat of rain. Hana dressed carefully, a soft pink blouse, white skirt, hair styled with extra care. She told herself it wasn't for anyone in particular. She was lying. The office buzzed with unusual energy. Apparently, there was a major client meeting today, and everyone was on edge. Hana kept her head down, focusing on work, trying not to look toward the executive floor. At 10 o'clock, Rika appeared at her cubicle, looking stressed. "Emergency! The junior analyst who was supposed to present in the client meeting called in sick. Sato-san needs someone to take over the presentation." Hana's stomach dropped. "And she asked for you." "What? Why me? I've only been here a week." "I don't know, but when the CEO asks for you specifically, you don't question it." Rika thrust a tablet into her hands. "Conference room A, 15 minutes. Don't mess this up." Hana's hands trembled as she reviewed the presentation. It was complex. Quarterly projections, market analysis, competitive positioning. She'd need to absorb
everything in minutes and present it to high-level clients with Ayame watching. No pressure. 13 minutes later, she stood outside conference room A, smoothing down her skirt, trying to calm her racing heart. The door opened. Ayame stood there, immaculate in a charcoal gray suit, her hair pulled back in a low ponytail that somehow made her look even more intimidating. Their eyes met. For one moment, everything else disappeared. The meeting, the clients, the professional masks they both wore. Just two women who'd almost kissed on Friday night, now forced to pretend nothing had changed. "You ready?" Ayame asked, her voice professionally neutral. "Yes, Sato-san." "Good. Follow my lead. If you don't know an answer, direct the question to me. Understood?" "Understood." Her gaze softened for just a second. "You'll be fine, Hana. I wouldn't have chosen you if I didn't believe that." Then she turned and walked into the conference room, and Hana had no choice but to follow.
The clients were exactly as intimidating as Hana had feared. 3 senior executives from a major tech firm, all watching her with expressions ranging from skeptical to mildly interested. Ayame sat at the head of the table, perfectly composed, giving nothing away. Hana began her presentation. Her voice shook slightly on the first slide, but by the second, she found her rhythm. She had always been good at this, taking complex information and making it accessible, finding the story in the data. The clients started leaning forward, started asking questions, good questions. Hana answered some, deferred others to Ayame with practiced grace. They worked together seamlessly, Hana providing the accessible overview, Ayame diving into technical details when needed. It was like a dance, and somehow, despite everything, they were perfectly in sync. 40 minutes later, the presentation ended to approving nods. "Impressive work, Sato-san," one of the clients said. "Your new analyst shows real promise." "She does," Ayame agreed, her eyes on Hana. "I have high expectations for her." The words were professional, the look in her eyes was anything but. After the clients left, Ayame and Hana stood alone in the conference room, the door clicking shut behind the last executive. Silence. "You did well," Ayame said quietly. "Thank you for trusting me. I told you, I wouldn't have chosen you if I didn't believe in you." They stood on opposite sides of the conference table, a barrier of polished wood and professionalism between them. Hana's fingers pressed against the table's edge. "Why did you choose me?" "Because you're talented." "Is that the only reason?" Ayame's jaw tightened. "What other reason would there be?" "You tell me." The air between them crackled with tension, with unspoken words, with the memory of Friday night and a touch that had felt like a promise. Ayame moved first, walking slowly around the table, each step deliberate, predatory. Hana's breath quickened, but she didn't back away. They stood face to face now, close enough that Hana could see the storm brewing in those silver eyes. "This," Ayame said, her voice low and dangerous, "is a very bad idea. I know. You're my boss. I know. People are already talking. I know. And you still look at me like that." Hana's voice came out barely above a whisper. "How am I looking at you? Like you want me to forget every rule I've ever made for myself." "Maybe I do." Ayame's hand lifted, hesitated, then gently tucked a strand of hair behind Hana's ear, the gesture achingly familiar now. "You're playing with fire, Hana. Then maybe I want to burn." The words hung between them, dangerous and thrilling. Ayame's control was fraying. Hana could see it in the way her breathing had changed, in the way her eyes kept dropping to Hana's lips, in the way her fingers lingered against Hana's cheek. "Ayame," Hana breathed. The sound of her name, intimate, needy, broke something in Ayame. She leaned in, her lips a breath away from Hana's.
The conference room door opened. They sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Rika stood in the doorway, oblivious. "Oh, sorry, Sato-san. I was just coming to clean up." "We were just finishing," Ayame said, her voice perfectly controlled again, though her hands trembled slightly at her sides. "Mori-san, return to your desk." "Yes, Sato-san." Hana fled, her heart pounding so hard she thought she might pass out. Behind her, Ayame remained in the conference room, her composure crumbling the moment she was alone. She'd almost kissed her, in the office, during work hours, where anyone could have seen. This was spiraling out of control, and the terrifying part was she didn't want to stop it. That evening, Ayame made a decision. She called Hana's extension just before 6. "Mori-san, my office, now." Hana's heart dropped. This was it. She was being fired, or transferred, or... She took the elevator to the 16th floor, her hands clasped to stop them shaking. Ayame's office was dim, just the desk lamp on, casting long shadows. The CEO stood at her window, back to the door. "Close the door," she said without turning. Hana did. Silence stretched. Finally, Ayame turned. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes burned. "This can't continue," she said. Hana's heart cracked. "I understand." "No, you don't." Ayame moved closer. Whatever this is between us, it's inappropriate, unprofessional, potentially damaging to both our careers. "I know. I could fire you, transfer you, make this go away." Hana's eyes filled with tears, but she kept her chin up. "Is that what you want?" "What I want," Ayame said, her voice rough with emotion, "is irrelevant. It's not irrelevant to me." Ayame closed the distance between them in 3 steps. She stood so close, Hana had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "I have spent my entire life being disciplined, controlled, professional." Ayame's hands clenched at her sides. "And then you walked into my elevator with your smile and your warmth and your complete lack of fear. And suddenly what?" Hana whispered. "Suddenly, all my discipline means nothing." The confession hung between them. "Ayame, I'm giving you a choice." Ayame's voice was strained. "Tomorrow morning, you can request a transfer to a different department. I'll approve it immediately. No questions asked. You'll still work here, still have your career, but you won't report to me. We'll maintain professional distance." Hana's breath caught. "And the other choice?" Ayame's eyes burned into hers. "You stay on my team. But if you stay..." She paused, her next words coming out raw and vulnerable. "If you stay, I won't be able to keep pretending I don't feel this. I won't be able to stay away from you, and I don't know where that leads, but it's dangerous and complicated and could hurt us both. That's my choice? Safety or you?" "Yes." Hana's hand lifted, trembling, and pressed against Ayame's chest. She could feel the CEO's heart racing beneath her palm, fast and desperate and alive. "That's not really a choice at all," she said softly. "Isn't it?" "No, because I already know what I want." Ayame's breath hitched. "Hana, I want you, even if it's dangerous, even if it's complicated, even if it ends badly. I want you, Ayame." For one perfect, terrible moment, neither moved. Then Ayame's control shattered. She cupped Hana's face with both hands and kissed her. It wasn't gentle, it wasn't careful, it was desperate and hungry and full of weeks of denial finally breaking free. Hana gasped against her lips, then melted into the kiss, her hands fisting in Ayame's jacket, pulling her closer. Ayame backed her against the desk, the kiss deepening, her fingers tangling in Hana's hair. Everything she'd held back,
All the longing and need and want poured into this moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ayame pressed her forehead against Hana's. "No going back now," she whispered. "I don't want to go back." Ayame pulled away slightly, her thumb brushing across Hana's swollen lips. Her eyes were dark with desire and fear and something that looked dangerously close to love. "Tomorrow, everything changes. Promise?" Ayame smiled, a real smile, full and genuine and devastating. "Promise." They kissed again, softer this time, sweeter. Outside the window, Tokyo glittered in the darkness, a city full of possibilities, and for the first time in years, Ayame Sato felt something other than ice in her chest. She felt hope.